Super. So the session today that I've been asked to talk about is scholarships and how do you get them. And just once more a quick check. Help me understand if my voice is reaching to you. Give me a big yes in the chat if my voice is reaching to you so that I can start. All right. Super awesome. Okay, so without taking much time, let me quickly jump into it because this is going to be a marathon session, and my suggestion is that you should actually keep a pen and paper ready with you. A small pen is better than big memory, and that will help you make quick notes around it. Scholarships are ideally of two kinds: need based and merit based. All right. Now I'm not going to use any PowerPoint presentation, so it's very important that you guys listen to me carefully and make notes around it. Unfortunately, I did not find time to put it onto a PowerPoint, and I thought that I'll just go and speak from heart. So scholarships are of two kinds. One is called the need-based and the other is called merit-based. Need-based scholarship is purely dependent upon your financial documents. My sense is that most of us who are in the session have access to good internet connection, have access to good computers and laptops, and you are listening to me. So we all of us are actually the fortunate ones, and possibly we won't get scholarships because for need-based scholarship we would definitely need two kinds of people can actually opt for need-based scholarships. One, who will be able to justify it through their financial documents that they really need the scholarship to study further. And second, most of the universities across the globe do also give scholarship to the first generation student who is going for graduation or undergraduation, I must say. So if you are going to be the one who is the first person to go to college out of your family, then possibly you can opt for something called need-based scholarship. The second type of scholarship is merit-based scholarship, and this is what the entire session is all about, because need-based is self-explanatory. You do not have money, you apply for a need-based scholarship, they will ask you for your financial documents, and they might choose to give you or might not choose to give you. The second type of scholarship which is available is the merit-based scholarship. Now, typically what they look at, all the universities across the globe, and I'll take examples from India and I'll take examples from outside India, because I am one of those cases who has studied from outside India, from one of the finest colleges, and I went on scholarship, and it was a merit-based scholarship, not a need-based scholarship. So I'll be focusing more on merit-based scholarship and how you can get it. All the top-ranked universities across the globe offer merit-based scholarship in some form or the other. All right. Now, there are certain things that you need to keep in mind when you are applying for a merit-based scholarship or when you're hoping for a merit-based scholarship. First, you need to be a high achiever. Now, high achiever does not mean that you need to be a gold medalist. Obviously, if you're a gold medalist, it never hurts. But high achievement in academics or high achievement in extracurriculars, it could be sports, it could be other areas as well. So you need to be a high achiever. Now, again, explaining about the other areas other than academics, we will need a session which is almost 10 hours, because then we'll have to talk about each and every sport and at what level of sports you are in. Because according to me, you can be across 4 tiers of sports: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 being the highest, where you're actually playing that sport at an international level. Uh, let's focus on merit-based scholarship with the help of academics, right? Your prowess of your knowledge, your education in school. Now, couple of things that you really need to keep in mind. If you're applying to a great university, either in India or outside India, if you go and give them stuff which is asked on their website, you're good to apply, but you might not be good to even get an admit. Forget about scholarships. So you need to understand that whatever is mentioned on their website are the bare minimum hygiene factors that are required for you to apply to the university. They are not the criteria on the basis of which you will get admission, and they're definitely not the criteria on the basis of which you will get scholarships, because it's very subjective out there. When you get scholarships, what they are looking at is something that you might not be aware of. And the first thumb rule is, try and give something more than they are asking for. All right. So if you give them something more than that the universities are asking for, your chances for admissions and your chances for scholarships will considerably increase. Now, how you can prepare yourself for merit-based scholarship? There are about 5 or 6 things that you can do. You have to create an incremental learning curve. Now, I'll explain each of these 6 things in detail, but right now what I want you to do is, I want you to make notes of all these things, 6 pointers that I'm telling you. So create an incremental learning curve, especially towards the field of study. So if you want to go and study computer science, you definitely need to show an incremental learning curve towards the field of computer science. You want to go and study economics, you need to show an incremental learning curve towards the field of economics. Be it psychology, be it medicine, be it biology, be it chemistry, whatever, you need to show an incremental learning curve towards the field of study that you want to study it. That's number 1. Number 2, show that you have the strength of handling incremental course loads. So subjects which are more difficult, subjects which would require you to go out of the way. So in grade 11, if you are trying to show them that you can handle something of the college level, the universities get really fascinated with it. And there comes an exam which you can take it in India, which are called AP exams. They AP is the short form. Their actual name is Advanced Placements. I will definitely talk about it, because that's one way by which you can really position yourself for great scholarships and tuition credits. And I'll also explain what tuition credits is. So all the jargons that I'm using right now, please be aware that I'm going to simplify it for you. So do not worry, I'm going to definitely simplify it for you. Right now is the time that you need to make notes of these 6 points. So the point number 1 was, show an incremental learning curve. Okay, so the mother of all the points was that we need to give the university something more than the university is asking for on its website. That's the basic premise to get admission or to get a scholarship. Now, point number 1 in that was, create an incremental learning curve towards the field of study. Point number 2 is, show your strength that you are, as a candidate, or your child is able to, if parents are listening. Or can you just help me by quickly telling me in the chat if you are a parent or a student? Just type parent or a student, because I don't have a poll right now. So just write if you're a parent or a student so that I know. Okay, students. Great. It seems we have more of, no, we have, it's almost the same. All right. You didn't make it easy for me either which ways. Okay. All right. So if you are, so I'm basically talking about a candidate who's going to apply. And if you are a parent, it applies to your child. And as a parent, it is your responsibility that your child is sitting next to you right now, listening to me, and understands where I'm coming from. And if you are a student, please, to all the kids out there, take me seriously and make your notes. Make your notes. It's very important. Okay. So point number 2 was, show your progress, show your strength that you can handle additional course loads which are difficult. Is there a way that you can show yourself that even in school you can handle things of college level? And one way that you can show that is advanced placement exams, AP exams, which you should definitely consider. APs happen only once in a year. And for you now, the next APs are in the month of May. I'll again explain you later about it. Point number 3 is focus on school academics also, especially the internals, because during the COVID time, it is quite possible that the finals might happen, finals might not happen. You and me can make the best possible guess. But in that case, in case if the finals do not happen, your internals will carry a lot of weightage. So do not take your internals lightly. Do not take a chance in your internals, because your internals might become your final score. Your internals might lead you to your predictive scores. So focus on your internals as well. That's the point number 3. Point number 4 is, do write a standardized test. Now, a lot of students come to me. I counsel almost 2,000 students a year. I take crazy number of webinars, either for Princeton or for a community called High School Moms. I always tell this, and I'm telling you with all the seriousness. Students come to me and say that, you know, why should I write a standardized test? Now, a standardized test is an SAT or the ACT. I want to apply to Canada, I want to apply to UK, and they do not require standardized test. Correct, they do not require standardized test. But what is also correct is that they are not test blind. If you write your SATs, they will definitely give you some value because you're giving them an additional data point to look at you. If you write your SATs, you are able to tell them about your logical skill sets, your critical reasoning, your language skills, and your quantitative ability. And these are 4 parameters which helps any university not only to judge you as a student, but also to decide about whether they want to give you a scholarship or not. So 4th point is definitely write a standardized test. All right. And the last point is work on a holistic profile. Now, holistic profile is something where you do something more than academics. Okay. So just by becoming a bookworm, just by getting a 95% in your grade 12, don't expect that the best of the universities will take you. Not even in India, not even outside India. I meet so many universities on day-to-day basis and their university reps. And I can tell you one thing very, very clearly. Even if you want to apply in India to a university, you know, some of the finest liberal education universities like Flame or Kriya, you know, these two, according to me, are possibly the finest, you know, liberal education universities. They also require you to write the SATs. Okay, so you have an option, either you write their own entrance or you have an option that you write the SAT. Now, SAT happens almost 4 or 5 times in a year. It is better that you write an SAT, and if you need to write it again, you can write the same exam again, because the chances of you scoring higher will be far more than chances of writing different exams. Another important thing about standardized tests that I really want to emphasize here, and you should make a note of it, SAT is not only to apply to US, and I'm repeating it. If you really want admission into the best of the universities, either in US, Canada, Singapore, UK, Europe, or even in India, my request to all the parents out there and my suggestion to all the students out there is go ahead and write your SAT. The next SAT is in the month of December. Then after that, it'll be in the month of March, and then it'll be in the month of May, right? So go ahead and book yourself for the SAT. Do a great SAT prep. If you are not sure that you can do it yourself, call up. You know, my numbers will be available in the chat. Call me up, and my team at Princeton Review will be able to give you a great handholding when it comes to SATs or the AP exams. Anyways, coming back to standardized tests. So, you know, in India itself, 36 universities, and I'm repeating once again, 36 universities accept the SAT scores. Now, these are those 36 universities where you would have struggled to write 36 different exams to get into them. And the worry is that your 12th boards will get over sometime in the first week of April. Most of the Indian entrances will happen in the month of May and June. And within a month, you'll not be able to prepare your kid, or you'll not be able to prepare yourself if you're a student for these 36 different exams. So it's better that you make use of grade 10 and grade 11 and make your child prepare for the SAT. It generally doesn't take more than 4 to 5 months to write a good SAT exam. So prepare your kid for the SAT, because SATs can also position your child really, really well. It is not just an exam, I'm repeating, for US. Even if the universities in Canada do not require you to write the SAT to apply to them, or universities in UK do not require you to write the SAT to apply to them, there is no harm in giving the SAT and applying to the best of the universities, because you are giving them an additional data point. They are able to look inside you in a far better manner than just on the basis of your academics in the school. So these are five or six pointers that I gave you about how to position yourself. Now I will go into detail of all these 6 parameters. All right. But before I do that, let me quickly tell you, some of the great scholarships that you can look at in India and look at outside India. And I'm going to talk about, I'm not talking about the general scholarships which are available from Reliance Foundation and others. That is very simple. You can Google external scholarships available for students in India to apply outside India, and you'll be able to get plethora of them. Okay. I will take specific examples of some of the universities from each of the countries starting from India. So for example, if you apply to Flame, now Flame itself is about 8 to 9 lakh rupees a year. And it's a 3-year and a 4-year program. Again, my suggestion here is any university which gives you a 4-year program, please push your child if you're a parent, and if you're a child yourself, please go ahead and do a 4-year program instead of 3-year program, because that 1-year program might have a lot of internships. That 1-year program might have a lot of research, and that's what prepares you for a great future. And you might not even require to do a master's if you do a 4-year bachelor's. So while you are studying, it makes all the sense to add that additional year. It is okay if you do not pass out at the age of 21, but you pass out at the age of 22. All right. It is absolutely okay. So you apply for a 4-year program instead of a 3-year program. And some of the 4-year programs are available with the universities like Flame and CREA. Now, Flame offers a scholarship starting from 1 lakh rupee to a complete full tuition fee waiver. A complete full tuition fee waiver. So you can imagine that your child, instead of spending that 32, 35 lakh rupees for next 4 years, can actually go out there and study free. The only thing is that is your child, because knowing about scholarships and applying to them is one thing, but getting them is another thing. So for all of you who are listening to me, all 200 plus people here, and about 400, 500 people I can see on Facebook listening to me, for all of you, one thing is very, very clear. Knowing about scholarship and applying about scholarship is one thing, but getting them is absolutely different thing. And you will not get it just by listening to me. You will get it by following up on things which I'm telling you to do and then doing them. And that's how you get it. So Flame offers a scholarship ranging from 1 lakh to the complete tuition fee waiver. It's a merit-based scholarship, and you need to really show your mettle on all the 6 pointers that I've told you to apply and get that scholarship. CREA, on the other hand, does not have a merit-based scholarship, but the beautiful part about CREA is if they like a student, and if the student is unable to afford CREA as a university, if they like you really, really well, they will not let go of you. They will admit you and give you a need-based scholarship. Going to Canada, okay? All the top-notch universities of Canada offer some sort of scholarship or the other. One university that really comes to my mind, okay? It really comes to my mind, and I really like it. For me, it's a small, big university. It's a college with small number of students, but great reputation. It's called Huron. Now, Huron at Western offers something called a presidential scholarship of 100,000 Canadian dollars. And every year, few students from India get it. 100,000 Canadian dollars means that you're actually going almost free. All right. If not completely free, you're actually going almost completely free. It's a merit-based scholarship. They also offer automatic renewable scholarship, which is valued up to Canadian dollars of 60,000, which is spread over 4 years. So almost $15,000 per year. And from this year onwards, I've been told, and I was speaking to the university rep of Huron at Western in India. Her name is Anjali Anand Seth. And I was speaking to her just yesterday afternoon, and she said that this year they're going out of the way because of COVID, and the Huron knows that students might not be able to afford. So this year, they are offering something called financial aid scholarship as well. So it makes all the sense for you to go out there and look at Huron's website and study more about it. Similarly, another good friend of mine, who is the university rep of St. Andrews, Scotland. St. Andrews is that university where the Prince Williams and Kate Middleton met, and they are the royal family is a pass out of St. Andrews. It's a great university. St. Andrews offers something called I'm forgetting the name. International Excellence Scholarship. which ranges from few £1,000 to almost £25,000 of scholarship. So it's a great scholarship to look at. Again, a merit-based scholarship. Then you have School of Visual Arts, New York. So if you are one of those students who is into graphics, animation, cartoon, filmmaking, multimedia sort of courses, visual arts sort of courses, you do not want to follow a traditional route of career, graphic animation, film, cartooning, media, they offer a great career. Okay, a bachelor's in fine arts can offer you a great career, and there are various majors and minors available. And School of Visual Arts New York is one unit, one college that you should really dream for. The best of the people, including some of the finest actors of Bollywood, are pass out of School of Visual Arts New York. So they also offer a scholarship on the basis of portfolio. I am doing one session with Aditi Khurana. Aditi Khurana is the International Recruitment Officer for School of Visual Arts New York here in India and Singapore. And this session is happening on 18th of this month. So you should definitely go out there and be a part of it. If you are interested in graphic, animation, media and designing, the link for registration of that session is in your chat now. So you can look at that. They offer great scholarships on the basis of your portfolio. Same is the case with the Arts Universities Bournemouth. They offer a great scholarship on the basis of your portfolio. This was for people who want to major in media, animation, graphics, cartooning, film, photography, all those innovative careers that one can look at. Life is beyond becoming an engineer and a doctor and a commerce grad. It is very funny that people come to me for career counseling. They ask about zillions of careers, but nobody asks me, can I also become a career counselor like you? Because that also seems to be a great career. So there are innovative careers that you can look at. I did a session just yesterday with Flame University, and we had Anju Dioskar from Flame, and we talked about loads of unconventional careers that one can look at, which can pay really well, and which can actually make the child travel the world, meet the people around the world, make friends around the world, and still earn a lot better than some of the traditional careers. Another university that comes to my mind, which gives great scholarship, is Bristol. Bristol is in UK. They have this phenomenal thing called Think Big Scholarship. They offer 10 students £5,000 a year. They offer so they offer 10 students £5,000 a year. They offer 5 students £10,000 a year, and they offer 20 students scholarships only on the basis of extracurriculars. So imagine your child can actually get scholarships even on the basis of extracurriculars, some things which you really do not allow your child to do. It is very important, because to get a scholarship, like I said, there are 3-4 important things that you need to keep in mind, and I'm going to reiterate again. Incremental learning curve towards the field of study, your ability to show that you can handle additional course load, difficult courses in school of the level of college, writing standardized tests like SATs, giving AP exams here in India. I understand preparing for AP and giving an AP exam can cost your child anywhere between 70 to 80,000 rupees, but it's so better to spend in Indian rupees if you want to get those lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of scholarships, from those universities. So look at that. So Bristol is another university. So we've talked about Flame, which offers scholarship from 1 lakh to complete tuition fee waiver. We talked about CREA, which offers financial or need-based scholarships. We talked about Huron from Canada, which offers a presidential scholarship of 100,000 Canadian dollars, and alongside the automatic renewable scholarship of 15,000 Canadian dollars a year. We talked about St. Andrews, Scotland, which offers scholarships ranging from few £1,000 to almost £25,000. We talked about Bristol. We talked about School of Visual Arts, New York. We talked about Arts University, Bournemouth. Even University of Essex in UK offers a merit-based scholarship of £4,000 a year. Then Trinity College Dublin, even University College Dublin, 2 of the finest universities in Ireland, they also offer merit-based scholarships for the first year. In New Zealand, there is a university called University of Wellington that also offers merit-based scholarships. So my sense is I can go on and on and give you few more names. If you want to hear, University of San Francisco, USA gives you scholarship. The best of the universities in US, including the Ivy Leagues, offer some sorts of scholarships. But these are all merit-based scholarships. And to get a merit-based scholarship, you need to do those 5 or 6 things which I told you about. All right. So, and the names that I've taken are some of those names which I really like. So I really like Flame. For me, it is one of the finest liberal education universities in India. I like Korea. I like Huron in Canada. I like Bristol. I like Essex. I like School of Visual Arts, New York. I like Arts University, Bournemouth. Trinity College Dublin is very close to my heart. University College Dublin is very close to my heart. And so is St. Andrews, Scotland. Even James Cook University in Australia. So if some of you are looking at an Australian education, James Cook University also has some merit-based scholarship per month to offer, which ranges to almost about $8,400 a year, $700 a month. It is a great, they call it a stipend, international student merit stipend. But there are humongous amount of scholarships. We do not allow our child to think about applying abroad simply because we think we cannot afford it. The problem is that we can afford it if we are able to get these merit-based scholarship. Had we focused on our child in grade 10 and 11 and prepared our child in such a manner that child has written the standardized test, child has done something in extracurriculars, and the child has also written the AP exams. Now let me talk to you about those 6 parameters in detail. The first one that I told you was incremental learning curve. Now, what does incremental learning curve means is, imagine there are hundreds of students. Somebody has a 95%, but I have about 85%. Okay. Or I have about 90%, which is lesser than 95%. But I am applying for a bachelor's in psychology. And in last 2 years before my application, I created this incremental learning curve towards psychology. I am able to tell the university that I really love psychology as a field. I really enjoy psychology as a field. Now, field could be any. I'm taking example of psychology. You can take example for computer science. You can take example for, engineering. You can take example for aviation, hospitality, business management, economics, biology, chemistry. You can take whatever field. The idea is, am I able to tell the university in my application, through my essays, through my personal statement, that listen, you have to choose me instead of anybody else. There is a candidate that you have with 95%, but that candidate does not have any interest whatsoever in the field of study the candidate is applying. And here I am with 85, 90%, but I am actually in love with psychology. And I can prove that. I can prove that because I've done a couple of internships under psychologists. I can prove that because I've done a couple of beautiful online courses in psychology. I can prove that by if I for example, if I want to go and study computer science, right? I can do various internships in computer science. I can do courses in Python. I can do course in Arduino. I can do a self project on computer science. So there are various ways and means that you can create that incremental learning curve towards the field of study to show your passion towards what you want to study, right? So that was number one point on my list. The second point was your ability to handle additional course load. Now, this part is very, very important. We want to tell the university that I am not just a bookworm at school. I'm also ready to try out higher level courses which are more difficult, but they will be able to position me in your university for that merit-based scholarship. Okay. Now, the way that you can do that in India is by writing an exam called advanced placement. Now, any student from grade 9 to grade 12 can write advanced placement. In Indian mindset, it is that people don't write APs because they feel they are difficult. Yes, they are difficult. They are difficult exams, but they are the only exams which can really give you tuition credits. So tuition credits mean that if you get a credit, you can actually graduate earlier than the other students in your class. You can get waived off of studying certain subjects in the college and thereby reduce your cost of education and increase your chances of scholarships, because you are able to tell the university that you have the mettle to handle additional course loads and you are much more than any normal average student. So AP exams this year coming May will happen almost at 30 centers. Let me see if I can show you on the screen. Yeah, I have it open. Let me just show you. So there are almost 30 cities, 30 centers in India where you can actually go ahead and take AP exams in the coming May. Just that you need to start your prep now, because AP exams registration is already open. Okay, it's a kind of a tricky registration. You have to register at College Board, and then you have to register with USIEF, and you have to then make a transfer the fees to USIEF. So it's kind of a tricky exam, tricky way of registering, but you should definitely go and apply for AP exams. Now, I will definitely tell you what are the various subjects available in AP exams, but get this very, very clear. Imagine an exam which is just of 5 marks, just 5 marks. Okay. And in 5 marks, it has both free response, which is something like a theory section, and multiple choice questions. Okay. 5 marks paper, ladies and gentlemen, 5 marks paper, kids who are listening to me right now. In 5 marks, you have both free response as well as MCQ. These 5 marks can make or break your career, can make or break your scholarships. So it's something like that. These exams are of a duration of anywhere between 2 to 3 hours, depending upon the subject in which we are writing AP exam. Now, it's not easy to choose which subject you should write in. So in that case, you should definitely go and speak to a good career counselor around you. Go and speak to a good to your school counselor, who can tell you what are those APs that one should definitely write. I can give you certain examples. So let's say you want to go and study business management or economics in college out there. Then you need to write minimum of 3 exams that I can think of. One is called AP exam in macroeconomics. One is called AP exam in microeconomics. You should also consider writing AP exam in statistics. You should also consider writing maybe AP exam in calculus, especially calculus BC, not AB. So there are almost 35, 36 subjects in which you can choose from. There is an AP exam in languages, Spanish, German, English, Hebrew. There is an AP exam in history, US history, world history. There is an AP exam in psychology. There is an AP exam in English. There is an AP exam in computer science. There are 4 different AP exams in physics. There is an AP exam in biology. There is an AP exam in chemistry. So even if you're going out there to study computer science, you should ideally write AP computer science and AP calculus BC. These are 2 minimum. These are the ways you can really bring down your cost of education significantly, because APs allow you to get the tuition credits, tuition fee waivers, and they also position you for those merit-based scholarship that you and me possibly need to go out there and study. And to all the parents who are listening to me right now, एक चीज याद रखिएगा मेरी, अगर अभिषेक गुप्ता जाकर के स्कॉलरशिप के साथ पढ़ करके आ सकते हैं, तो कोई भी जाकर के स्कॉलरशिप के साथ पढ़ के आ सकता है. Just that you need to start early. Just that you need to plan it out. Now, AP exams require almost 3 to 4 months of prep. Problem is they will happen immediately after your final exams of next year. So you need to start prepping now, prepare for 2 months now, and then prepare for 2 months after your pre-boards or your final exams in the month of January. Some schools will keep their final exams in the month of January or February. If you are a grade 11 kid or a grade 9 kid, ideal time to write AP exams is grade 11. That's the best possible time to write. So immediately after grade 11, in the month of May, you should write AP exams. Also, you need to remember that kids who want to apply to Ivy Leagues, thinking about going to Ivy League is easy, but going to Ivy League is difficult, right? So if you really want to get into an Ivy League, if you see your child studying in the best of the finest of the universities across the globe, not just Ivy Leagues, students write as many as 7, 8 AP exams. And that's how they are able to afford an Ivy League. Otherwise, it will not be possible for anybody and everybody to spend 1 crore, 2 crore, on their education. So writing AP exams, they definitely make sense. Even if you are an IB student, now some of the school counselors who are listening to me right now, they might not agree with this. They will say that if you have written an IB, if your child is following an IB curriculum, and if the child has an HL subject in IB, then the child should not write AP. I kind of disagree there. Even if you're writing a subject in HL, there is no harm in going and writing the IB. Yes, you might have your IB internals clashing with the AP exams. In that case, take the approval from the school in advance, because these are internal exams. If they are, they can allow you and they can test you again. But if you have an IB subject in SL, then it definitely makes sense for you to write the APs. Now, that is the beauty of an AP exam. Another announcement that I really want to make today here is that through Princeton Review, I'm an empaneled counselor for Princeton Review, and we offer Princeton Review offers some amazing online classes for AP and SATs. We are doing a free masterclass for all of you out there. The link to register for that masterclass will come in your chat soon. What you have to do is you just have to fill up the form, tell us which subjects you are interested in, and we will invite you for that masterclass. I'll just give you the calendar. I have it in front of me. Today, between 7 to 8 p.m. in the evening, we are doing an AP masterclass on microeconomics. This is one session which is available free of cost, but come and attend it only when you are interested in writing the AP, and only if you are interested in getting that scholarship or a tuition fee waiver. So today, 7 to 8 in the evening, we have microeconomics. We have physics tomorrow between 6 to 8 p.m. We have calculus on Tuesday, the math subject of AP, again between 6 to 8 p.m. We have bio and chemistry on Wednesday between 6 to 8 p.m. And we have AP macroeconomics on Wednesday again between 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So you can definitely look at attending one of these master classes. Just fill up the form, and my team from Princeton Review will reach out to you and figure it out how you can attend these master classes if you're interested. Now, the third point that I talked about. So first I talked about incremental learning curve towards the field of study to get the scholarship. Second point that I'm talking about is that you should definitely write the AP exam. Do not miss it. Cross my heart and hope to die. This is one suggestion that you're going to thank me after you have written APs, because all of a sudden your cost of education will come down drastically. You will be able to apply for merit-based scholarships. And if the universities like you, because they will only like you when you have given them something more than what they are asking for on their website. The third thing is, again, give them more than what they are asking on the website. So if they are asking just an IELTS exam, you go out there and give them the SAT. If they're asking just for academics, you go out there and give them some extracurriculars. If they're asking for just pure play school scores, you go out there and give them some AP exams. That's how they will give you an admission, because what they have given on their website is nothing but the minimum criteria to apply. What they are not giving is the criteria which will get you accepted, or the criteria which will get you scholarship. So remember that. Okay. Now, so give them more than what they ask for. Fourth that I told you was that do well, exceptionally well in your school internals, especially during these different times where we are not sure if the final exams will happen, may not happen, might happen online, might be an open book test. So your internals will play a big role, and focus on your internals. Do not take them lightly, and also create a decent profile. Please focus on your profile building activities. Please create a decent extracurricular resume so that you can apply to these universities. So these are few things that you need to keep in mind. I informed you today about what 4 or 5 things you can do to position yourself for the great admit across the best of the universities and get great scholarships. I talked to you about AP exams. Let me also take the opportunity and show you what are the various subjects available in which you can write the AP exams. It's a huge list, but then you do not have to worry about getting confused. There are AP exams in sciences, there are AP exams in English, there are AP exams in maths and computer science and statistics, there are AP exams in art, there are AP exams in history and social sciences, including psychology. So there is hardly any subject where you cannot write an AP exam. Hardly any subject where you cannot write an AP exam, all right? So do that. Go ahead, apply for your AP. Remember one thing, that the registration for AP happens almost 7 to 8 months in advance. So AP exams are in the 5th month of next year, which is in May. The registration is open right now. The registration for May exam has already started. Can you believe that? And it will get over in the month of November. So if you are not registering till the November, then you need to understand that you will lose your chance. So go out there and register yourself. If you do not know how to register, you can definitely go and speak to my team. I personally don't think that you can prepare for APs by yourself. I do have a question mark there, simply because A, you are preparing yourself for a college level exam, and B, as a parent or as a student, you need to remember two things. When you prepare yourself, you need to do two things. One, you need to find out what to study, find out the right material to study, and second, you need to study it. But when you come to a person like me, or when you come to an organization like Princeton Review is world's largest organization when it comes to SAT prep and the AP exams, right? And that's the reason I'm a consultant to them. There is a big reason why I'm a consultant to them, because they are the best. So the reason why you come to people like us is simply because we at least help you take care of the first part of the problem. The first part of the problem, where you have to find out what to study, or you have to find out which materials to study, or you have to find out how to study, is actually taken care of by us. And we will give you the material, and we'll give you the practice tests and the practice papers. What you have to do as a student, while you are also coping up with your school exams, while you are also coping up with your extracurriculars, is reduce your headache, outsource it. The entire world is working on outsourcing, right? So, even, being there on Zoom, it's nothing but outsourcing. Not that companies cannot manufacture their own softwares like Zoom. They can actually develop, build their own softwares, but it doesn't make sense when somebody has already done it, right? So come to us. We'll be able to help you. Again, the link to attend one of our master classes is there. The form link is there in your chat. Do that. There are various exams that you can choose from, various subjects you can choose from. Write minimum of 2 to 3 APs, and a maximum as many as you can, because the more APs you write is the more tuition fee waiver and scholarships that you will get. All right. So these were, that is what I wanted to talk about. So I talked to you about various scholarships available from some of the universities in India, Canada, Scotland, UK, US and Australia and New Zealand, including Ireland, University College Dublin and Trinity College Dublin. Most other universities also offer, the merit-based scholarships. So go out there and apply for it. Prepare yourself, position yourself really, really well. Make use of this COVID time. This is a great time where you can position yourself. Do not clip the wings of your children. At least help them apply for international colleges. It's a whole new feeling when the person on your left is a French and the person on your right is a German, and that's where you're studying your management, computer science, engineering, or consulting, or business analytics. It's a whole new feeling. So go out there, position yourself, focus on academics, take the AP exams, show your love towards the field of study by doing internships and some online courses. Speak to some good career counselors. They will help you, guide you to do it. And I'm very, very sure that some of you out there listening to me will be able to get the best possible admission you are looking at in the finest of the universities, and will be able to get scholarships. With that, I'll call it a day. Thank you so very much. And I look forward to speak to you sometime soon. My request to you all is, I'm very, very regular on a channel called High School Moms. So go out there, search High School Moms on Facebook. If you are a father or a student, you can follow High School Moms Facebook page. If you are a mother, you can even apply to become a member of High School Moms Facebook group. They are doing phenomenal work in empowering and making you aware about various colleges, various universities, their entrances, how to prepare profile, how to get career counseling done, how you can help your child in finding the right career. They also tell you about the last dates to apply. So they're doing phenomenal job. So please follow High School Moms on Facebook. You can also follow High School Moms on the Instagram. The Instagram handle is highschoolmoms.community. If somebody from my team can actually type that in the chat. So you have to follow that. You can also follow me on Instagram, though I'm very, very new on Instagram. I'm not very active on Instagram. But you can follow me on Instagram on a handle called abhishekgupta.coach. Go out there and do it. We are trying our level best to make you aware. We are trying our level best to empower you with the right information through High School Moms community. And spread the word around. Ask your friends, ask your fellow parents, ask fellow mothers to be there on High School Moms group. Last announcement, be there if you're interested in careers in visual arts, designing, gaming, filming, animation, multimedia, photography. These are some amazing careers that emerge out of these industries, out of these areas. And there are amazing job opportunities available in these areas. I am doing a webinar on October 18th of this month with one of the finest liberal, fine arts colleges in the world, School of Visual Arts, New York. And I'll have two amazing guests with me where I'll be hosting them only on High School Moms. Aditi Khurana, International Recruitment Officer for School of Visual Arts. She's the lady who values and checks your portfolios when you apply for a fine arts program. And we will have Adam Rogers, who is the Director of International Admissions of School of Visual Arts, New York. So be there. The link is in the chat. Register for it for the webinar that I'm going to bring. Super informational on fine arts. With that, I'll call it a day. Stay home. Stay safe. Have a great Sunday. Whatever is left out of it, make the best of it. For parents out there, next 6-7 hours of Sunday left are for your kids. Spend time with your kids today. Help them plan for their APs. Help them plan for their career. Discuss it out. Thrash it out. If you spend time with them today, they will spend time with you when you're old. So make them learn the value of spending time with the family. So spend time with your family. With that, I again invite you to be there on October 18th webinar with School of Visual Arts, New York. And I invite you all to join High School Moms Facebook group if you are a mother, and follow High School Moms Facebook page or Instagram if you are a student or a father. Thank you so very much. God bless you all. And I look forward to talk to you soon. Thank you.